Hollow Knight boss rankings have been done on YouTube lots of times before, as most Hollow Knight YouTubers have made a boss ranking once in their channel. It's kind of like a tradition at this point, so let's rank the 46 Hollow Knight bosses. Coming in at 46, the worst boss in the game. You already know Oblobbles are my least favourite boss, and even if you didn't, it's pretty obvious. Surely there isn't a boss worse than these guys, right? Not only is it so unfun, it's also quite RNG and was one of the stupidest radiants I've ever gotten, and I've almost got all of them. I think by far Oblobbles is the worst boss, and I imagine a lot of you will agree with me. Nosk is one of my personal opinions, where I believe not many people will agree with me to say he's this bad. I think he most certainly is, being one of the only bosses I haven't radiated, simply because I find the boss really unfun and the soundtrack is definitely not my favourite. The whole fight is basically hiding in one spot, making it super easy. But I hear you saying, what about the ascended shut up bro, it's no better. Seriously, just pogoing him and shade souling him to his death, I don't get the fun behind this. And in my opinion, Nosk is one of the worst bosses in Hollow Knight. No Eyes is yet again one of those bosses I haven't done Radiant yet. The normal version is alright, considering how easy it is and the fact that there is literally a safe spot for you to camp in. However, the Ascended version is nightmarish. There is a difference between hard and stupid, and in this case, it's clearly my skill issue. No, it's clearly stupid and very RNG. Surely no one likes this boss, right? I'm sorry to all of the massive Moss Charger fans, but this boss is not good. And there's one sole reason for this. Get it? Basically, this is the easiest boss in the game, has no challenge or anything. Good soul refill though, I suppose. What the heck is this boss, bro? You're just hitting a jumping man with the easiest attacks, and he's dead in less than 5 seconds. Yeah, he's not a good boss. Wait, didn't I just rank this guy? Guys, yeah again, I'm sorry. This boss is so stupid, and as a player who likes to jump over attacks rather than dash through them, I think it's understandable why this stupid boss is this low. And to make it even worse, this stupid fat blobs come in to ruin your healing and make the boss so much unfun. And yes, I can equip Defender's Crest to make it 50 times easier, but yeah, let's just forget that part. This boss sucks, alright? This boss is kinda mid, but at least it's better than this piece of shit. Winged Nosk can be quite fun, even with the stupid RNG attacks. However, the boss is a complete rip-off of Vengefly King, so I can't rank it much higher than this. The classic first boss that everyone fights, which is the only reason I'm putting him this high. The boss is actually really bad, and is just attacking him then his head when stunned, until he dies. He is also a soul refill that in Pantheons is not even needed because it's right at the very start. Grozmother is alright, I guess. Good boss, I guess, but I for some reason always take damage on this boss. It's not a skill issue, trust. Wait a second, didn't I? Oh yeah, this is the easier version of Lostkin, Broken Vessel, who has a lot less balloons and health. Yeah, that's the only reason I'm ranking him higher. Otherwise, the exact same as the clone version. This boss sucks, and really stumped me on my first playthrough. It's quite low on the list, simply because of its simplicity. I mean, all he does is jump around and shoot, what even is this? Goop at you? He is also one of the easier bosses in the game, he's quite repetitive, so I don't think he's very enjoyable. Umu was a very hard boss to rank, and that is because there is two completely different versions, Quirrell and Godhome, and one of them is a lot better than the other. Godhome. Okay guys, I get Quirrell is a nice and friendly NPC, but come on bro, he takes like a whole minute to stun Umu, and in an awkward position, making the fight way longer, whereas in the Godhome version you can kill Umu before she even starts an attack.
Let's go! Oh my god! One cycle Umu. That's crazy.
I would have ranked Quirrell Umu a lot lower and Godhome a lot higher, so I've ranked Umu in the middle of both. And if you guys are enjoying the video, please subscribe. My goal is 10,000 subscribers and we're almost at 5,000, so I'd really appreciate it if you could. Also, join the Discord server, the link is in the description. Back to the video. Fluke Mom is a very mid boss, not only having little health, but is also super easy to kill. A few Abyss Shrieks and she's dead. Also, the flukes make it more annoying than hard, so Fluke Mom is quite low on the list for me. Vengefly King is a personal favourite of mine, as I really enjoy the two Vengeflies at once in Godhome, compared to the other simple easy bosses like Grozmother or False Knight. Nothing much else to say for this one. GPZ is a tricky boss, which would usually put it higher on my list. However, this boss is simply just unfun. Descending Dark after Descending Dark and the occasional pogo is all I do on this boss. I generally don't know how else to defeat him. I've always found this boss quite annoying, ending a few of my Pantheon 5 runs. Yep, I'm dead, even though I now consistently get to Abzerad. So overall, I think this is a fair placement for Graven Soul. I've also never beaten Radiant, at least for now. This boss is absolutely stupid. Seriously, just up slashing and jumping until he does this stupid move where he isn't on the screen. Also, avoiding these after you've obtained Shade Cloak, so basically the whole rest of the game in Godhome, you can easily dash through these rings that fall, not even needing to avoid them. Elder Hu is a really easy and unfun boss who, in my opinion, deserves to be this low. Oro and Mato are alright bosses, but for some reason I've never managed to beat them Radiant, most likely because I never played them. And that is because I really don't like the boss, and think it's not very fun, and quite repetitive as well. That's just my opinion though. Also, the lore is quite good for these guys, but I'm ranking them on fun rather than story. I'll try to not go back on myself like I did in several videos before. Zero is similar to Elder Hu, the fight made up of mostly jumping and up slashing. He's also super easy, and the amount of skill needed is 0. Get it? Traitor Lord is a pretty good boss, though definitely not my favourite. I love the rhythm of the fight, however I find the battle very easy, meaning I'm putting it lower than you'd probably expect. It's still a good boss though. If you've watched a few of my videos before, you'll know I struggle on Mamu. However, since then I've gotten way better at her, and she is really easy for me now. However, I still occasionally miss a hit, and this boss is kinda annoying still. Not the best boss, but definitely not the worst. Failed Champion is the upgraded version of False Knight, who, similar to the False Knight, is a walking hot spring because of this glitch. Well, not a glitch, but it's just a cheat that I don't know if it was intended because it's so OP. However, compared to the False Knight, he is a lot more useful for Pantheons, as he is right before NKG in Pantheon 5, making NKG, otherwise one of the hardest parts of Pantheon 5, a piece of cake. The boss himself is actually quite good, though he is just False Knight but harder, so still quite low on the ranking. God Tamer isn't the funnest of bosses, having only 2 moves.
Bruh.
However, the boss was my second ever Radiant, and quite easy, however still somewhat fun, not much else to say. Soulmaster is a good, fun, well-made boss, and one usually encountered early on a first playthrough. The boss is quite fun, having to be quick to get attacks on. It's really cool when he baits you into thinking you've finished the fight when it's actually a second phase. He also baits you like this as well, yeah, that's just annoying. This boss is quite good, but its simplicity and easiness brings it down on the list. The Collector is actually a pretty decent boss, being really easy when you're able to one-shot the enemies, but super hard when you can't. It's quite cool having enemies in the boss fight with you, but why did they have to add the primal aspects in the Ascended/Radiant/Pantheon 5 version, bro? Oh my god, that's the only thing bringing this boss down. Anyway, it's a solid boss. Galleon is one of the most forgettable bosses, though still being an alright fight. Yes, like all the Dream Warriors, a lot is just jumping and up slashing, though avoiding the wheels I think is quite a cool idea, making you pay attention to several things at once, similar to the Watcher Knights in a way, but also not at the same time. Anyways. Dong Defender is a good boss, but extremely easy. He is somewhat later into the game, so I'm surprised that he wasn't a bit more challenging. Either way, he's a good, fun boss. Also, Descending Darking him out of the grounded Godhome makes him way too easy in my opinion. Hive Knight is a really fun boss in my opinion, having some cool attacks and quite a bit of challenge to them as well. The B attack is really annoying though, especially when he's stunned, giving you no time to heal, when you usually would be able to. But other than that, he's a really good boss. The soundtrack is also goated. Hornet Sentinel, in my opinion, is worse than the actual Hornet. The boss is more challenging, but that's the only upside. The stupid floating spike balls are really annoying, and the parry block is also stupid. And finally, the worst part is the stupid wind, which stupidly blocks half of my stupid screen. Ascend with Gorb, though seriously a goat boss and almost the funnest Dream Warrior in my opinion. Paintmaster Shio is such a well-made boss, having the paint as an indicator for the next attack, which I think is the coolest thing ever. Overall, a really fun and balanced boss, being quite challenging as well. Perfect for a boss ending a Pantheon. The actual Hornet is one of the first bosses that I and almost everyone who's played Hollow Knight struggled on. She's a lot faster than the False Knight and has more moves. Fast paced bosses are my favourite, so a fun boss in my opinion. Also, she's literally the main character in Silksong. I can't rank her much lower. White Defender is the upgraded version of Dung Defender and is a lot more fun and challenging as well. Generally a well made boss, and I really enjoy fighting him. Also, the juggling cheese to beat him isn't as easy as it looks and feels so good if you actually manage to pull it off. I actually did this the first time I beat him. Soul Tyrant is next, being a way better version of Soul Master in my opinion. He is quite annoying, teleporting every few seconds, however I find that quite fun, having to be fast and avoid his jukes while still getting attacks off. I also haven't beaten Radiant, but that should probably take me like 10 minutes if I actually try. Anyways. When I first played Sly, I hated every single aspect about the boss fight, and since then, now having beaten him Radiant, my views on the boss have really changed. The boss is actually very fun, having to attack him after he does this, which is perfect for nail arts, but I never use them. The first phase attacks are able to distinguish by what he does before them, apart from what nail art he uses, which really annoys me. And the second phase really tests my reaction time, having to dash away the split second he dashes at you with his nail that's twice his size. A really fun and well made boss. Disclaimer, as of making or at least scripting this video, I have not beaten Absolute Radiance, the only boss in the game I haven't beat on Attuned, and actually Ascended as well, and almost Radiant. The boss is very fun though, being a harder version of the True Ending's final boss. She has a lot of attacks, and the difficulty in general is what makes this boss really enjoyable to play for me, and I imagine I'll beat her soon, along with plenty of 5, as I get to her every time consistently. This is the furthest I got, and that was literally my first attempt earlier today, so it shouldn't take too long, I don't think. Grim is an absolutely amazing boss, and was really challenging the first time I played him. His fight is like a dance, and the soundtrack is absolutely amazing. The moves are very fun to learn, and once you've learned the 6 or so moves, he becomes a lot more easier and enjoyable in my opinion. Okay guys, I told you this was controversial. And for the 5 people that haven't now clicked off the video, please hear me out. This boss has, yes, a bit of RNG, but apart from that, the boss is still insanely fun. And if you've watched my Dream Boss ranking, you'll know I played him for 4 hours straight, without knowing that I actually had level 3 nail equipped the whole time. This meant beating him Radiant was a lot harder for me, yet I still did it, as I love playing this boss. I know a lot of people hate the boss without the flaw, and it is annoying, but also adds massively to the challenge and overall fun of the boss fight. Sorry guys, but it's true. I love the Markov boss fight. My first ever Radiant in the game, Mantis Lords, and one of my first bosses that brought true challenge to my first ever Hollow Knight playthrough. The boss is amazing, feeling similar to Grim, almost like a dance, and they have lots of different moves. The 2 Mantis Lords coming down and using combo attacks makes the boss really fun. One of my favourite bosses in Hollow Knight to do. This one is a personal favourite of mine. I love the Watcher Knight's boss fight, partly because of the fact that you have to do them in speedrunning, meaning I've gotten really good at them. Even though I haven't speedrun in a long time, they still remain one of my favourite bosses in Hollow Knight. I beat them Radiant quite quickly as well. The Soul Warrior boss fight is absolutely amazing. Okay, I'm joking. This boss is actually one of the most forgetful, if not the most forgetful in the game, as it's not even really a boss. And that's exactly why I put it this high. I completely forgot about it for the first part of the video, and it's already all edited. So I'm putting him at 6th place. I would actually probably put him somewhere in the 30s, but yeah, he's here. Anyways. The Radiance for me is ranked higher than normal Radiance, being in the top 5 bosses. This is because it's a bit more simple and it's a final boss for the true ending. This might also be because I haven't actually beat Abstract yet. This boss was one of the most fun I had when playing a boss in my playthrough, not too challenging and not too easy. Perfect boss for the end of the main story in my opinion. Also, the soundtrack is absolutely peak. Mantis Lords but upgraded, heaven on earth. Seriously though, this boss is amazing, and one of, if not the best boss in the game. How the Mantis Lords move simultaneously and together with each other, the adrenaline you get when you first see the 3 Mantis Lords standing up for the first time, and the difficulty of avoiding all the Mantis Lords while they do combo attacks like crazy, just makes this boss perfect. NKG. Nightmare King Grim is an absolutely amazing boss. the fight is so well made, being very difficult when you do the Ascended or Radiant versions. The difficulty really puts it high for me, along with the incredible soundtrack, which makes the boss so much more intense and anticipated. I think most people would agree with how good this boss is, and with how much I like playing Grim, you can understand how a harder version is amazing. However, there are still 2 bosses left that are better in my opinion. Pure Vessel is almost my favourite boss in the whole game, being a harder version of the main boss at the end of a normal playthrough. The boss is so fun to play and so challenging, and harder than NKG for a lot of people, though personally I don't think so. The music goes so well with this boss, and one thing I found is that the boss is fun for whatever playstyle you have, whether that being dashing through attacks or jumping over them, using nail or using spells. The boss is perfect, and the sole reason I was motivated to get to the end of Pantheon 4. It's also an amazing boss to finish off the Pantheon as well, and finally killing him is the most satisfying thing I've ever experienced. And finally, So the Mighty. Haha, I'm joking. The Hollow Knight, the best boss in the whole game. Like Pure Vessel, but a lot less challenging. The boss is so fun to play, the soundtrack is my favourite in the game, and it is the final boss in speedrunning which I really enjoy. But the sole reason this boss is number 1 is because of how I felt when first playing this boss on my first playthrough. One of the best gaming experiences I've ever had, having to learn and adapt to his movement, and the first boss I played that was a really hard challenge. I can't remember how long it took me, but it took me longer than any other boss in the game so far. And that's it, all 46 bosses in Hollow Knight Ranked. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and it took me quite a while to make, so I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. My goal is 10,000 subscribers, and we're really close to 5k, so I'd really appreciate it if you did. Also, if you want to join the Discord, the link will be in the description. Goodbye.